We know Ali ibn Abu Talib as the fourth righteous caliph, a disciple, associate, cousin, and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Except for the Prophet Muhammad himself, peace be upon him, there is no one in the history of Islam about whom so many books have been written as about Imam Ali. Imam Ali, who was brought up from childhood by the Prophet, peace be upon him, was with him throughout his prophetic life. He took an active part in all the affairs of the Muslim community and was devoted to Allah and to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, until his last breath. Imam Ali is an outstanding and fearless warrior who gave his life to serve one and only Allah. For his bravery in battles, he was called Asadullah, which means the Lion of Allah. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave Imam Ali the sword Zulfaqar and said, "There is no better man than Ali, and no sword better than Zulfaqar." There is also a well-known hadith in which the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "I am the house of wisdom, and Ali is its door." The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, very much loved and respected Imam Ali because he was utterly devoted to Allah and to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said to Imam Ali, "No one has known Allah as he deserves except me and you, and no one has known you as you deserve except Allah and me." Imam Ali embodies all the qualities of a true Muslim. He was and still remains an example for each of us. Imam Ali said, "A group of people worship Allah in the hope of attaining the benefits of paradise. This is the worship of merchants. Some worship Allah out of fear of the flames of hell. This is the worship of slaves. A third group worships Allah out of gratitude. Only this kind of worship is the worship of free people." And exactly this truly free man was appointed by Allah as a successor of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in 632 in a place called Khadir, whom, after completing the ceremony of the last Hajj in his life, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, declared it as the will of the one and only Allah in the presence of more than 70,000 people. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, announced it in the presence of 70,000 people, and it was the will of the one and only Allah. As it was said in the sermon of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and his family, and Gadir hum, He, the Most Holy, the Most High Allah, revealed to me this verse. O Messenger, convey everything revealed to you from your Lord. If you do not, then you have not delivered his message. Allah will certainly protect you from the people. Indeed, Allah does not guide the people who disbelieve. Surah 5, Al-Maidah, ayah 67. Gabriel came down to me 3 times giving the order of my Lord, who is the security of the believers, that I should stand in this scene and inform everyone, white and black, that Ali ibn Abi Talib is my brother, my deputy, and the executor of my affairs, Wasi, my successor over my nation, Khalifa, and the leader, Imam after me. I ask Gabriel to plead to Allah, who is the security of the believers, to excuse me from conveying it to you. O people, due to my knowledge on the fewness of the pious, the numerousness of the hypocrites, and due to their annoying me on many occasions, so much so that they called me all ear, claiming, I am so because of Ali's frequent attendance in my presence and my attention to him.
Если бы я хотел перечислить тех, кто называл меня так, указать на них,
had I wished to name those who have called me so, to point out towards them, or to lead to them by their signs, I would have done so. Yet, by Allah, I have indeed dealt with their affairs magnanimously. Nevertheless, Allah is not satisfied with me until I convey what He, has sent down to me regarding the right of Ali. O people, know that Allah has assigned him, that is Ali, as a guardian and a leader for you, whose obedience is obligatory for the immigrants, the helpers, and those who follow them in goodness, and for everyone, whether nomad or city resident, Arab or non-Arab, free or slave, young or old, white or black, and for every monotheist. His, that is Ali's decree, is to be carried out. His saying is sanctioned as law, and his command is effective. Cursed is whoever opposes him. Blessed with mercy is whoever follows him. Faithful is whoever acknowledges his virtues and rights. Thus, listen, obey, and submit to the command of your Lord. For Allah, the mighty and the majestic, is your master. Then his messenger, Muhammad, who is now addressing you, is your master. Then, after me, Ali is your master and your leader by the command of Allah, your Lord. Then leadership shall be in my progeny within his offspring until the day you meet Allah and his messenger. Nothing is lawful except what Allah declared so in his book, as well as his messenger and them, that is the imams. And nothing is unlawful except Allah declared so in his book, as well as his messenger and them. Certainly, there is no knowledge except that I have taught it to Ali, and he is the evident Imam. O people, do not stray from him, nor should you flee from him, nor should you refuse his guardianship and his authority, for he is the one who guides to truth and acts upon it, and crushes falsehood and proscribes it, accepting no blame in the path of Allah from any blamer. O people, he is an Imam authorized by Allah, and Allah shall never turn to anyone in mercy who denies his authority, nor shall he ever forgive him. This is a decisive decree by Allah that he shall do so to anyone who opposes his command about him, and shall torment him with the most painful torment, which lasts forever and ever. Hence, beware lest you oppose him and thus arrive at a fire. O people, prefer Ali over all others, for he is the best of the people, men and women after me, so long as Allah sends down his sustenance and so long as the creation exists, under curse and again under curse, under wrath and again under wrath, is he who rejects this saying of mine and does not agree with it. Certainly, Gabriel has informed me of this from Allah, the Most High. Thus, every soul should look to what he has sent forth for the morrow. O people, reflect on the Quran and comprehend its verses. Look into its clear verses and do not follow its ambiguous parts, for by Allah, none shall be able to explain to you its warnings and its mysteries, nor shall anyone clarify its interpretation other than the one that I have grasped his hand, brought up beside myself, and lifted his arm. We have just heard the words of the last great prophet, peace be upon him, which were spoken as clearly and unequivocally 14 centuries ago in the presence of 70,000 people. Just now, these words have been spoken in 70 languages on tens of thousands of media platforms, and have any of us failed to understand them? Does anyone dare doubt the words of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, the words sent down by Jibril alayhi salam from Allah himself? So why didn't we Muslims follow our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? Why did we go against Allah and his will? How is it that we followed the damned, the ones who oppose the will of the one and only Allah. We're still following them to this day. And what has this led to? Look at what our world has become. Our world is cursed because we follow those who twisted the words of the Prophet, peace be upon him, those who perverted Islam, who betrayed Allah himself. Who are we? Aren't we traitors? The path of traitors leads us all into the fire, while the Prophet, peace be upon him, willed us to build a beautiful world. He brought us Islam, a religion of love. We could have lived exactly in the world of love for 14 centuries, but our ancestors chose a different path, the path which Shaitan whispered to them. But Allah is merciful, and we still have a chance to correct the mistake of our ancestors. We have the example of the best of men, the example of the greatest Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Yes, it is not easy. But was it easy for the Prophet? Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He lived in the most difficult times and in the most difficult conditions. He was able to bring the words of Allah to the people. He gathered 70,000 people to convey what Allah had bequeathed to them. Today, we have the internet, technology, and every opportunity to tell one another the truth about today's world and how we can build the world that one and only Allah has bequeathed us. The world that our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, dreamed of. We have remembered the year 632 and the words of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in order not to condemn or praise anyone, but to restore the truth. And never forget it again. We have no time for arguments, lies, and divisions. We must return to the path that leads to salvation and unity. This is our chance to survive and our chance to justify the trust of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Today, many who call themselves experts in Islam claim that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did not take care of the future of his ummah and did not leave a successor. His words in Gadir Hum indicate quite the opposite. Thus, these scholars try to justify the betrayal of our ancestors and their not fulfilling the will of Allah himself and his last prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Yet, we Muslims today are following in the footsteps of our ancestors, defending their righteousness, not studying and not willing to admit that our ancestors betrayed our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Who are we after this but traitors and the descendants of traitors? And will all our namaz, zakr and hajj help us if Shaitan has so blinded our eyes that we oppose the words of Allah himself and his last messenger, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in exorbitant pride? For Allah himself said, "Cursed is the man who disobeys him." The question of who should be the successor of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and lead the Ummah. This question has been a point of contention for Muslims for 14 centuries. And for 14 centuries, there has been no unity among us. But we are not gathered here today to condemn or praise anyone. It is important for us to understand the mistakes of our ancestors. At what point did they, and we together with them, not follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, and took a wrong turn? Only by understanding this can we all together find the path that leads us to unity and salvation. This is our last chance to save ourselves, our ancestors, and all of humanity. Only in this way we can justify the trust of the Prophet, peace be upon him. We have no more time for arguments, lies, and divisions. the knowledge and the path that Allah Himself showed to all humankind through His last prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the will of Allah. And if we had followed Imam Ali, we would have fulfilled the will of Allah and would now live in a very different world. Now Islam, as the mercy of Allah, would have been all over the world. Now, we have been given the last chance to come to think again and to follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, and to build the world he dreamed of.